It's time for a classic Epictastic Joshua rants. What's up everyone, it is Epictastic Joshua here. My name is Joshua Drake. I talk movies, TV, music, and anime on a few occasions for those last two. We're continuing the Planet of the Apes review series. Beneath the Planet of the Apes. The first sequel in this original series and franchise. This came out a year after, 2 years after it. And in this movie, we follow a new character. This is another spacecraft that arrives on the planet ruled by the apes, which carries Brent, who is searching for Taylor. And then they find out that there's something for it beneath the ground. Pretty much the plot of this. This time is directed by Ted Post, written by Paul Dehn from a story by him and Mort Abrahams, stars James Franciscus, Kim Hunter, Maurice Evans, Charlton Heston, and Linda Harrison. This time Roddy McDowell did not come back to this. I wonder why. After Planet of the Apes was a big massive hit, Fox wanted to do a sequel right away. And so the producers wanted the script sooner, than Serling, who was too busy at the time, so they turned to the original author and he didn't want to do it. But they didn't like the idea. And then there were so many different other versions they wanted to do. And they wanted the original director to come back, but he declined to do Patton. And Charlton Heston didn't want to do this. Agreed to do this under one condition. Can you take a guess what it was?
You son of a bitch!
Yeah. So, the first time I watched this movie, I was not the biggest fan of this whatsoever. I really hated this when I reviewed it back in 2016, all those years ago. Now, I decided to give this a rewatch, just to prep for my reviews of these movies. You know how it is. And my God, this shit was even worse the second time around. Now, I'll say this. It's not as bad as my first time, but it's still not good. It's still one of the worst fucking films. And one of my worst fucking sequels I've ever fucking watched. Almost nothing nice to say about this. And I'll talk about the original scripts and I get into the negatives because I have a bone to pick with this goddamn scripts. Before I go into this, there are a few things I can give this movie credit for. One, the makeup, even though the budget is cheaper, the practical stuff still looks good. I will give credit to where credit is due. That actually still looks pretty good, and it also looks competently handled. The returning actors from the last movie who did come back, as well as the new guys, they are fine. The acting overall is fine. There is interesting aspects when it comes to what is beneath this planet. And the camera work, I think, is done very well here. Cinematography wise, this is a different TV director, so he does know what he's doing, mostly, despite it feeling like a TV movie. And I do like the production design and the music here. Big problem, number fucking one. Big problem is the screenplay and this character. The new character of Brent. I no disrespect to the actor, I think he does fine in the role, but I just could not get on board with this character. He was just so disinteresting, and it makes me feel like I miss Charlton Heston. Now, granted, we'll get back to Charlton Heston in a minute, but it just feels like if you're gonna do a sequel to this, why not follow the original character? And the original story for this, is not that interesting in this. I think the story is just pretty fucking lame, pretty fucking dull, and pretty fucking boring. There was a few moments where I was rewatching this, I felt like I was falling asleep watching this, because all the intrigue and creativeness and the integrity is completely gone and outweighed by a lot of the stupid shit, all the dumb shit in this. And it just makes me feel like I'm wasting my damn time watching this, unfortunately. Because there's not the same level of effort put into that original one. When you think of what that original classic Planet of the Apes movie did, what its success was, what its legacy is, and still is, the franchise, the big money-making blockbuster franchise that it did, to come up with a story this inferior is confusing to me. And I know this movie has a share of fans. I definitely see it, especially on Letterboxd when I saw people talk about this on Letterboxd. And some people, like I know, like the Greek Geek and such. I know there are some people who do like this sequel. I'm just not one of them. I think this script is completely fucking shitty. Let's talk about the script in this thing, because oh my god. The script in this movie? What the fuck is this?
I guess this is before manners were invented.
Now, the original script had Taylor creating a rebel army, and they fought with the apes. And Zero and her husband, which they do jack shit with Zero in this final version. Zero and the husband could have been more neutral to this mess and convinced Taylor that war is not the answer. And in the midst of this battle, Noah was gonna die, and Taylor is grieving over her dead body, and the bad guy standing over Taylor, ready to kill him. And then Taylor was gonna say a line, "You've taken my home, my dignity, and the woman I love. You can't do anything else to me anymore." And the two start going head to head, and Taylor gets stabbed and he falls to the ground. And then as the bad guy is ready to kill Taylor, a lone shot goes off, hitting the bad guy in the heart. He collapses, the fighting stops, everyone realizes this shit is wrong, and they throw down their weapons. And the final shot would be Zero on a cliff with a rifle, aiming it at the bad guy's body. How freaking epictastically awesome does that sound? How much better of a Beneath the Planet Apes sequel would that have been?
Correct!
But no, Fox just chickened out, and Charlton Heston, he read the script, probably must have read the final script for this and knew how much bullshit this was gonna be. And he's like, why am I gonna give a fuck? He's only in this movie for the beginning and the end. And he took the money and he gave it to charity. So that's how much he did not give a fuck about this. Even taking the money that they offered him, so I can't really blame him, because if the script isn't that great, yeah, you have a right to freaking take the script and just be like, fuck this. Problem with this is just, and also the biggest problem, we're just doing the first movie again, and when we start to find out what was beneath the planet of the apes, which is the title of the movie, is where it was interesting. You have a group of humans that are stuck down there, and they're not just humans anymore. There's something, and something else happens to them. And not only that, I think directing wise, this movie is the worst directed film in the series. I don't blame the director, because I'm pretty sure he has done better than this, but this is a incompetently handled fucking disaster of a compared with the script and compared to the way this movie is. Nothing was going on here. I was just sitting here bored out of my skull. Not to mention, you don't have Roddy McDowell in here, so of course my favorite character in this original series of movies is nowhere to be found. And then on top of that shit, everything is just implausible in this, to the point where I was just looking at this laughing unintentionally. And it's the fact that you have multiple different writers had the sequels where Charlton Heston would go and fight, and then you had the author of the books write a script, and they said no, because it wasn't what they wanted. The original version of this movie sounded better. They kind of tried to do that with the Tim Burton version there. And yes, granted, Charlton Heston, I get it, he did not want to come back for this, but you had a better script, he would have probably changed his mind. But Jesus. They kind of did something like that with the humans and the apes fighting in the 2001 Planet of the Apes movie, which that's one of my favorite moments in that remake I enjoy, and we'll get there when we get there. But the disappointment and lame and disinterest you have with the story and these new characters, and it's an hour and a half long, so it felt 2.5 hours. Yeah, I felt freaking tedious. I felt freaking exhausted watching this by the end of my rewatch. And Charlton's barely in the movie, but the decision to kill him off the way you did, not only I think is bullshit, but I also think is anti-fucking climatic for a character like this. You could have done 1,000 different deaths better than this.
Soiled it! Soiled it! Soiled it! Soiled it! Soiled it! Soiled!
And guys, I do not want to sit here and scream and holler at the camera for 16 to 18 to an hour and a half, because there's other videos I do have to make for this. I would just say this: if you like this franchise, or if you like this movie, go enjoy it. I have no problem with you enjoying it. Like on this, I know there's some other people who enjoy this. I know some people who don't like this. This is just an inferior sequel that did everything nearly wrong. If it hadn't been for the performances of some people and some interesting elements, this would be a worse grade. But because there's a few things I like, it doesn't help the grade, but it did help me appreciate this movie a little bit more the second time around. But you're still the worst Planet of the Apes movie of this whole entire franchise. And because of that, I have to give this movie this grade that you're getting. Unless you are a completist like me, unless you want to go through the franchise, by all means form your own opinion. But if you're like me and you're getting ready for Kingdom of the Apes, just pass on this. Just pass. Because there's not much here you're going to get out of. Well, that's going to do it for the video that you just watched. If you want to see more, my channel icon is up here. If you want to see more content from me, all my social medias are right here in this end card. I will also leave a playlist and a video here for you to see what the channel is about. As always, acknowledge me, stay epictastic, join the Epictasticness, and you guys keep it cool.